Yeah, the piece of advice I would give is, perseverance, but knowing when to pivot. So the first thing, perseverance being, it's easy to see in this day and age, and technology and YouTube or whatever else. If you watch that, there's so many entrepreneurs that are like, "Hey, I started this new business and I was a millionaire in 3 months, and it was awesome, and it's so easy, and you can do it too." Yeah, maybe that's going to happen to like a very small percentage of people, but it takes a long time to get to the point I am right now, where I feel like I've achieved some type of success.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7 and 8 figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Uche Okoroha. And Uche started his journey in high school as an entrepreneurial or liking to do entrepreneurial things, and did a business competition in high school. Made it to nationals in the competition, and from there started a business doing websites and internet marketing. Then went off to college and studied hotel and restaurant management. Went to law school, and then after that went into corporate law for a couple of years, moved over into tax law after that, and then got started on his own doing R&D tax credits as a consulting firm, and then also started to hear a lot about AI, and so looked to combine the current firm and with the AI, and has led to what he's doing now. So with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, UJ.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Devin. Great to be here.
Hey, excited to have you here. So I just gave a quick walkthrough to a much longer journey. So why don't rewind? Why don't we rewind and unpack a little bit and tell us a little bit about how your journey got started in high school doing business competitions?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always been an entrepreneur. I feel like it's in my blood. Both my parents are entrepreneurs as well, own their own businesses. So, really they instilled that mentality into me. And I remember it was in high school, and there's a marketing association called DECA. And with DECA, you can do different types of business competitions, and one of those competitions, it was called e-commerce business plan, the e-commerce business plan event. So I was very interested in that time at designing websites and web programming and things like that. So
Hmm.
I decided to create a business plan and join this e-commerce business plan event in DECA. And really, that was my first exposure to, taking a concept or, something that I was good at, something that I was interested in, and transferring that into a business plan, and then going on to compete in DECA. That was my first start into it.
So now, so you just said, okay, have the interest, want to try it out. You did the business plan, you competed in DECA, and then you go on. I think you went to nationals and competed there. From there, or ended up building it out into an actual business and doing that during high school or college, or kind of walk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, so that was my senior year of high school, and what happened is, I won first place in local competition. I won first place in state competition, and then I went all the way to nationals. That was hosted in Orlando, and unfortunately, I lost at that point in time. But I was like, hey, you know what? I may have lost this competition, but I have a real business plan here. I can just go and start the business. So that's what I did. At the senior year of high school, going into undergrad, I just took that business plan, and, I worked on, my website, and I worked on marketing, and I went ahead and I actually got that business launched.
Hmm. Now you launch the business, and first entree, into kind of running your business and doing that, and kudos to doing
Mhm.
that while you're still in school, and taking that advantage of that time. So now, while you're doing that, you go off to college, and it sounds like you shifted gears a bit. You went into hotel and restaurant management. So, kind of what led you in that direction?
Yeah, and from my business to my undergraduate degree to my postgraduate degree, it kind of sounds like I'm all over the place, right? But I do have a lot of varied interests. But basically, at the heart of all of those interests is entrepreneurship. So I went into undergrad, and the first thing that I wanted to do is go into business. I went to undergrad at University of Houston. Of course, they have the Bauer School of Business there. Very, very nice school. They do have their entrepreneurship program there. But the entrepreneurship program there was pretty new, at that point in time. And I did have a class with one of my friends, and she was explaining to me, hey, it depends on what you're interested in starting, later on in life. Now, I did like the hospitality industry. I always thought it would be fun later in life to own, a bar, lounge, restaurant type of organization. And then also in the back of my head, I was thinking, I'm planning on going to law school. I have a pretty good idea that I want to go to law school. So, my undergraduate degree won't matter as much. So I thought I would go into something that I was interested in, which was hotel and restaurant management. And, U of H at that point in time had the highest ranked hotel and restaurant management program in the nation. So it solved a bunch of different things for me. Number one, it's still tied into a business that, even still at this point in time, at some point in time, I'd love to open up that bar, lounge, restaurant. It was a good, highly ranked program. So if I decided not to go to law school, I know that I would be immediately employable. And then it did just set the baseline for me to do what I wanted to do after that at that point in time.
So now, kind of having that entrepreneurial endeavor and also doing, hotel and restaurant management, what was kind of the draw to law school, or kind of what, pushed you in that direction? Was it, having a well-rounded understanding to go into business, or was it more watching all the TV shows and movies about lawyers and wanting to go change the world, or kind of what pushed you in that direction?
Yeah, I don't think that I was necessarily one of the ones that was like, hey, I'm going to get this law degree and I'm going to change the world. And kudos to everybody, that had that ideal going into, law school. Very, very admirable. It was just mostly an interest of mine. I've always been a very analytical person. So thinking back on it in high school, I took this business law class, and that was one of my favorite classes in high school. And then going into undergrad, hotel and restaurant management, I took this hospitality law class. And, that was one of my favorite classes in, undergrad there. So really where my interests lied there, and the classes I was taking, and, just how I thought there. I thought that law school and being a lawyer would be, a fun experience, and it would be a worthwhile career to get into.
So now you go do that, and hey, it's I'm an attorney, and I know a lot of attorneys that love law and do it on a regular basis, and others that get into it and decide it's not for them, and so go to law school, get the degree, have the undergraduate, have the entrepreneurial, or bent or endeavors. Now you come out of school, and then you go into, I think you went to work for a firm in a couple different areas of law, but maybe walk us through a little bit of that phase of the journey.
Yeah, so it was corporate law. I went in-house at an insurance company. So I did that for a couple of years, and basically just making sure that everything was right with all of our clients, all of our insureds. Making sure that when they're contracting with other companies, one, are they managing their risk properly contractually, and if they were not, working with those business owners to renegotiate those contracts, redline those contracts, get that changed to where they had the appropriate risk in those contracts. And then the risks that they were taking on, those would be able to be insured by our company. So that's what I was doing, for a couple of years there, straight out of undergrad before I made my transition into my next industry.
And kind of walk or continue on walk through what was that transition, and kind of you did that for a couple of years. What prompted you to or change a bit in direction, or otherwise do something else?
Yeah, really, I was happy with what I was doing, in terms of corporate law and the work that I was doing there. But really, I felt like I just hit like, a roadblock where I felt like I wasn't um, improving at all. I wasn't, learning anything new. I wasn't advancing, as quickly as I would have wanted to. And then, also having that feeling about my career at that point in time, like saying, oh, this is great, but there's got to be something more. There's, got to be something different that I could be doing. Having that feeling, and then also being in DC, where I went to law school, away from all of my friends and family that were back in Houston, I was thinking, if this is not absolutely what I want to do, and I wake up every day and I'm just excited about it, and I'm learning so much, then why am I over here away from everybody else that I care about? So I'm like, is there a way that I could find something that's going to serve two purposes? One, something that I'm a little bit more excited about, and two, something that would allow me to come back to Houston, to be closer, to all of my friends and my family there. So that's kind of what spurred it on there. So at that point in time, my brother was working for a tax consulting firm in Houston, and he said, "Hey, if you want to come back to Houston, number one, the work is really interesting. The work is really exciting. It's really fulfilling. And with your background and your experience, they'll definitely give you a job offer here. And then number two, obviously, you're back in Houston. You're with me, our parents, our family here. So it'll serve both of those options for you." And that's really what convinced me to go and get into tax at that point in time.
Awesome. No, makes sense. So you have that opportunity, you shift that gear and say, okay, gives you an opportunity to kind of work with the businesses, practice a bit more of the area of law, and you start to shift in that direction and get a move back
Mm-hmm.
to their more close by family. So now you do all that, and then I think you or continue or you got a bit more specialized or niche down to do kind of R&D tax credits with businesses or startups or small businesses. Are those getting going? Is that right?
Yes, yes, that's correct. And it was a big moment of awakening for me, learning about the R&D tax credit, the research and development tax credit. I had never heard about it before, but it's really just kind of a strange concept. Businesses that are in certain industries get a tax credit for the government for doing the work that they're already doing. Keeping these technical jobs, engineering, manufacturing, architecture, keeping all of that within the US instead of outsourcing it overseas. The government wants to incentivize that. So, really what I found interesting was not only one, it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the business because, they're getting this money that they can reinvest back into their business to create more jobs. It's a win for the government because we're keeping all of those technical science related jobs, within the U.S. there. But then also, I just found it very interesting, going back from the to the entrepreneur aspect, because in doing these tax credits, I had to talk directly to these business owners and say, okay, how have you grown your business over time? What expenses have you put into that? What type of different projects have you worked on? So, really, it was just a very fulfilling aspect of finding out the journey of all of these business owners. And then at the end of the day, being able to deliver this capital to them that is very, impactful. For their business as well. So I can feel good about what I'm doing and, also feel very fulfilled in carrying that out for people.
No, sounds like it was a good area to focus on and provided a lot of reward to it. So now, so you go through and you kind of make that focus down that niche, and it provides an opportunity maybe to provide a bit more guidance to businesses, work with those that are kind of interest, and it gives you kind of an area to focus on. Now, I think as we talked a little bit before, you mentioned that as you're doing so, you're kind of now seeing the more and more growing prevalence of AI or machine learning and artificial intelligence and those kind of things entering more and more to a variety of industries, including the legal industry and that. And you look to
Mm-hmm.
maybe to adjust or to evolve kind of your approach to doing things. So walk us through a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, so when I left that tax consulting firm, I actually went off and started my own tax consulting firm. And I had that for several years there, doing the R&D tax credit manually for, all of our clients there. Me and my business partner, we formed a great team. We got a great response for our clients. We had over a 95% suspension rate, clients coming back to us year over year, working with us over time. And, really just thinking about what we were doing, there are a lot of bottlenecks with this process. It's a very complicated, process there. It's very time consuming. It involves a lot of different people. It involves a lot of a legal analysis. With Section 41 of the Internal Revenue Code, the most complicated and convoluted, piece of tax law there. And then also a lot of manual drafting of reports and different things like that. So I did start to hear a lot about, AI and, machine learning and, chat GPT and, open AI and all of these other things. And, I was hearing that AI is coming into these industries that have been, very old school and, very reliant on, manual work, like, for example, accounting and law. And AI is coming in and it's helping people do, certain tasks. It's helping people do, legal analysis or document review. It's helping people, with numbers and calculation and accounting and everything like that. So I just dove right into it and I went online and I said, hey, I'm going to find out everything that I can about AI and machine learning and technology. And I want to see if this is applicable to the business that I'm doing right now and all of my headaches and all of the bottlenecks with my business. And that was the start of, bridging my consulting firm, Paracore Consulting, and creating the company that I own and operate today, Tax Robot.
Now you say it makes sense. You go out, you start your consulting firm. You say, okay, you're gonna go out on my own, be able to do the entrepreneur, kind of pursue that entrepreneurial endeavor. Then also look to incorporate AI and how to make it more efficient and automatic and optimize it and make it, a better experience and all those things. And so you start, the current business now. As you start into that, walk us through how has it gone? Is it taking off and money is raining down from the sky and more money than you know what to do with, teetering on the verge of bankruptcy, never knowing where the next paycheck's going to come from, somewhere in the middle, or kind of, walk us through a bit as to how that's gone?
Yeah, so it always starts off pretty slow there because it is a new industry for us. Even though we understand the subject matter there, we still had to figure everything out. And developing software is not easy. You don't just, go to a developer and say, hey, I want this product to do X, Y, and Z and send them on their way. And, they'll come back with a piece of software. It takes a lot of time, more time than I care to admit, sitting down and mapping out different things and doing a user experience and, testing and, doing bug fixes and, iterating and, doing interviews with clients and saying, hey, I'm going to put a real client on it now and ask them what they think about it and getting that feedback and then changing it. So it took a while to even get the product off the ground to the point where we felt we were comfortable putting it in front of our actual clients. So we did that. The first full year of our launch, it went pretty well. And we started to get feedback from our clients because, granted, we had a little bit of what you call an unfair advantage. We were just able to take our existing consulting clients and transition them into clients of this new business. So the feedback we were getting from our clients is, wow, this is, so much better than that manual process that you're doing. We were comfortable with that process. We enjoyed it, but this is much better. It's a lot quicker. The technology is very helpful for organizing things, streamlining the process, getting that documentation there. So we said, okay, we're going to go all in on this. We are going to shut down our consulting firm and we are going to proceed as Tax Robot, technology first, but then we also have, those R&D tax credit specialists that are able to step in there and provide those quality control reviews there. So started off a little bit slow, but then something interesting happened earlier this year that very much accelerated the growth of our company here. We started having, other people reach out to us, CPAs, other tax consultants, bookkeepers, whoever the case may be, saying, hey, for a while, it's been the case in the industry that CPAs don't do this tax credit for their clients unless they're like a big four consulting company and they have their own entire tax credit consulting department there. But they're saying our clients are increasingly coming to us and say, hey, I'm tired of this triangle where I come to you as my CPA and then you say, okay, I'm your CPA, but go to this guy for your tax credits. And then I'm working with you and you're working with that guy. And then we're doing all of this. They're like, I just want to come to you and you do all of the work for me, including the R&D tax credit. The CPAs are like, hey, I don't know how to do this. I see that you have a software. Could I use the software to perform this service for my clients? And I said, no, we don't. This is just something we use internally for our own clients. But yeah, I guess I could do that. I could let you license the software so you could utilize that with your clients. So that's what we started to do as well with Tax Robot Agency. So now we have two different product lines. We can go directly with the business and work with them to do their tax credit. And we can have our agency model where anybody that wants to offer an R&D tax credit to their clients can pick up this piece of software. They can put the information from the client into that software, generate the documents, and now you have an entirely new service line. And that's where it just started exploding for us this year. We've been profitable, all of the years, that we started the business, due to being able to take some of those clients for our consulting company. But this year, in particular, we had over 100% year over year growth. As far as revenue. So I'm pretty happy, pretty excited at the opportunity that we have in front of us right now.
That's awesome. Sounds like it's been a great opportunity to grow and expand and take it into new areas and take advantage of a new approach and a new way to tackle the industry. So definitely excited, or sounds like you found some great ways to success on that. So with that,
Absolutely.
now as we've kind of reached the present day of the journey, it's always a great time to transition to the two questions I always like to ask towards the end of each episode. So we'll jump to those now. So the first question I always like to ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made, and what did you learn from it?
Ooh, the worst business decision we've ever made there. That's a tough one because there's when you're going through a business, there's a lot of bad business decisions you can make, and learning from that. And I think the biggest one there is choosing who you're going to work with, especially if you're working with employees, contractors, vendors, whatever the case may be. I would say vetting out those individuals properly and making sure you're not just prioritize, hey, I'm going to go with whoever is the lowest cost. I'm just worried about my bottom line here. I'm going to go with the person that's the lowest cost. I would say making sure that the person's skill set and their pricing are taken into consideration, when making those decisions. And I think early on in our journey, especially with developing the software, we went with a company that we thought had a pretty good reputation, but mostly we were, very excited about the cost that they could provide us as far as the development. And we quickly had to pivot and find a different developer to work with because that first relationship didn't work out. Whereas, I wish we spent a little bit more time vetting out some more different developers and, computer engineers, software engineers there before we got started. So I would say that's the biggest one that we ran into.
Well, definitely sounds like, it's one of those where, it's hard to judge parties sometimes by, is it reputation? How do you know what the work will be? What's the cost? When you get a good deal versus when you should pay a little bit extra, and all those betting things, and always an area to make mistakes, but also a great one to learn from. So it definitely sounds like a good one to learn from on your end. Second question now that I like to ask is, so now if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what'd be the one piece of advice you give them?
Yeah, the piece of advice I would give is, perseverance, but knowing when to pivot. So the first thing, perseverance being It's easy to see in this day and age, and technology and YouTube or whatever else. If you watch that, there's so many entrepreneurs that are like, "Hey, I started this new business and I was a millionaire in 3 months, and it was awesome, and it's so easy, and you can do it too." Yeah, maybe that's going to happen to like a very small percentage of people, but it takes a long time to get to the point I am right now, where I feel like I've achieved some type of success. In my business currently, I started in 2017. So it's been 7 years, going on 7 years here of just consistent, working in the business and building up and, pivoting, even pivoting from consulting, to technology. That was a completely new path that I went on. So number one, persistence. Keep on putting in the work, keep on educating yourself, keep on getting better, keep on talking to clients, keep on getting feedback about your idea and your services and your product, but then also pivot, knowing when something is not going to work, knowing when the market does not want your product or your services, or they're not ready for it, knowing when to tweak something about your approach, whether it's your business offerings, whether it's how you market, how you're working with customers. Don't set down a path and then just put your blinders on and think that you don't ever need to change or you don't need to improve. So that's my biggest point of advice: perseverance and knowing when to pivot.
No, it definitely sounds like a great piece of advice and a great takeaway. So awesome. Well, with that, now as we are reaching towards the end of the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Yeah, you can go to our website and get more information. That's going to be taxrobot.com. Or you can shoot me an email, Uche, Uche, at taxrobot.ai, and you'll get me directly there.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, make a new connection, support a great business, and if nothing else, make a new best friend. So, with that, thank you again, Uche, for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you the listeners that are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So, let's go to inventiveguest.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners. Make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review. Helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success. And on that note, if along your journey you ever need help with patents or trademarks or anything else with your startup or your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Uche, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thanks, Devin. I appreciate it.